Hello, everyone, and welcome back to D&D&D&D&D campaign number 1, Under Locks and Keys. When we last left off, the party successfully boarded the pirate flotilla of Plundon, a massive multi-decked structure made to be equal parts safe harbor and also fighting ring for the Septennial Doomspell Tournament. Every 100 years, when the Divine Council meets, Plundon is supposedly, according to myth, granted the Spear of Ares and have been entrusted with its protection since the dawn of the Third Age, where the various captains of Plundon and the champions who wield the spear typically simply live aboard the ship in a life of luxury, safeguarding the prize until the next tournament. But the party has no such intentions for the spear. If it is indeed the artifact they seek, the party intends to get their hands on it and use it as the next key. But they are not alone in this. Several up-and-comers and competitors stand in their between them and the spear. The Dark Elf champion seems remiss to part with it. The various pirates will surely keelhaul the party for sabotage or treachery to acquire it through illicit means. And, well, there's a lot of complicated rules in play. The party has discovered that for every round of the tournament, a new system of rules from various global travelers and adventurers and cultures will be implemented to test the party's ability to improvise, think on their feet, and ensure that whoever wins this Septennial tournament is someone memorable. As the night of the party's first bout in the tournament, the first real fight of the tournament is on the horizon, the party is taking care of some business. Avaben trains with the representative of Brother Ares, who goes by their ring nickname of the Swarm Storm, someone who traveled on Brother Ares' crew and supposedly accidentally gained mana-based mutations that made them a viable competitor despite their age, and managed to scare off the champion, the Dark Elf man, who seems to be getting increasingly agitated with the party's confidence and claim on the spear. Meanwhile, Paul, with the twins in tow, travels about on the top deck, making sure that they are making the charitable donations that they are expected to make as a paladin of first edition Dungeons & Dragons. And finally, Asari and Greylog are making their way to, if I recall, the armory, yes? Or were you heading to the ring first? Okay. Heading to the armory with intent of getting the party some better supplies. Although, while the party, granted, does not know this yet, the Major League fighters are currently squabbling over what's at the armory. With that, with the party divided, but not quite yet conquered, we turn our attention to the armory. Greylog and Asari, as the two of you make your way away from the minor league locker rooms and towards the door that Greylog you recall having passed by in your investigation, but having kind of dismissed it at the time as something not immediately helpful to you, but has since become far more important. And as you can already see the kind of rampaging clusterfuck happening outside of it, a part of you kind of regrets not taking the time to search it more thoroughly, but the thought does occur to you that you likely wouldn't know what you were looking for anyway.
Yeah.
Those battling it out, less with lethal blows and weapons and more just very basic fist fighting, although whether that's them holding back before the tournament, trying to not have it be construed as sabotage, or simply genuinely not having any idea how to fight in their current forms. most of the major leaguers you don't recognize, as you've not been in their locker room or like taken the time to see them outside of the fights. And you don't know how much of this is their true forms or not, but for the most part, they appear to be human, with a team of elves notably included among them as well. As the various major league fighters duke it out for control of this locker of weapons from foreign lands, Greylog and Asari, you're kind of on the outskirts of the brawl. You'll have to kind of get through it in some fashion or another to get to the weapons locker, or of course you could simply wait for them to have it out and grab everything, but at that point you'll be left with just what they leave behind.
So, I want to just try to sneak my way through around the edge.
Okay. And Asari, what will you be doing?
You know what? I'm gonna push my way through and see if I can't get something good.
Okay.
Ooh, would that give me an advantage?
So used to being, I used to being so big, but now that I'm small, maybe I can use it to my advantage.
Under their legs.
I have little legs. I can go faster.
Well, let's find out.
I can be quite speedy.
Both of you roll me d20s.
Okay. I think I'm going to use this one since I hate it the most. Ooh! That's actually really good, I think. 8.
Okay, 8. And Greylog?
3.
Okay. Does not.
Oh my god, I rolled a natural 20 right afterwards.
Yes, natural 20s are natural 1s.
Natural... Is that a 16 or an 18? I can't tell.
Okay. All right. Okay. You both roll fine given the circumstances.
Oh, natural 1.
Greylog, you kind of hug the sides and kind of start gradually working your way along. You just barely manage to avoid getting bowled over by a human in a dark long coat and wide brimmed black hat who gets kind of thrown into the wooden wall of the ship, and it kind of creaks and cracks under the weight. But he, all completely unbidden and unaffected, just rolls up their sleeves and dives back into the fray as the major leaguers are literally resorting to fist fighting over magic items. But their pain is your profit. And Greylog, you managed to slip through the door, which is currently being kind of improvisedly blockaded by a few of the elf fighters as their team kind of rummages through the items for potentially useful ones. But you managed to slip past the two who are blockading it and kind of duck into the room. Presumably your elvish heritage helping you kind of blend in with them a little bit. Asari, as mentioned, given your current dwarvish posture and stance, you initially are uncertain if you'll be able to simply brute force your way through this, and you don't feel that you're intimidating enough in this form to simply make everyone move. So you settle on the next best thing. You've heard that dwarves for their size are incredibly strong, and you just start pushing. And as you quite literally force your way through the crowd, Greylog, you watch as several of the people in the crowd kind of bark or swear or kind of get startled as Asari literally just brute force elbows their way past the fighter's legs. However, Asari, you are stopped whenever you get to the door itself. Most of the brawling crowd more concerned with themselves and their opponents than you. However, the two elves, both very one is a very kind of muscular and imposing elf with a kind of square set jaw, far more intense looking than most elves you're used to. And the one next to him is a bit more like what you're used to. Kind of having a Vaben's kind of plebeian life demeanor to him, and his hands clasped in front of him in almost a prayer-like motion. Both of them wearing matching kind of black and blue robes with gold and white highlights. And as you approach, between you surprising and brute forcing everyone else, you're not sure what to expect. But the elvish man, who you notice has a very long head of kind of silver hair that goes almost down to the floor, and unlike most elves, is not restrained in any way. They simply hold up one of their prayer hands to you and. Is there something we can help you with, young dwarf?
I'd like to get through, please.
Intriguing. Well, you'll have your turn just like everyone else.
Look around you. Are you blind? Can you not see?
They kind of tilt their head to you, seeming almost like kind of vaguely interested in this dwarf who's just kind of shouting at them. And I am well aware of the situation, young dwarf, and I assume you are as well. You are a participant in the fights, yes?
Yes, and I heard it was first come, first serve. So,
And
here I am.
indeed it is. It is first come, first serve, and unfortunately for you and these other participants in the fights, my siblings and I were first, and we will be served.
Oh, look at you. You should be
You may squabble it out with the rest of these low-rung fighters after my siblings and I have gotten our share.
Or you can let me in now and I won't kick your ass.
Will you now?
I'm sure I can get a few people to join me if I tell them that they can get in on it too. I'm sure you would love to get ganged up on. I hear all kinds of elves are about that shit.
I see. Brother? This dwarf exhausts me. Take them away.
Hell no.
Okay.
You gonna resist?
I'm gonna try to fucking cast a spell.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Gorilla, what are you doing?
The door, does it lock from the inside or outside?
You do recall that it has a lock, although the lock is on the outside.
And in that case, I'm just going to be grabbing stuff for her plus the rest of the
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a d20.
And that is a natural 2.
Natural 2. Okay.
I like rolling.
Okay. All right.
Oh my god.
Just a hot sec here.
20. Natural 20. 15. There we go. 5.
All right. And Asari, so you're going to try and cast a spell, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Roll me a d100.
D100. Okay, let's see.
Oh, please tell me it's wild magic.
Ooh, 74.
Sorry, you rack your brain, but you don't know what spells are available to you. For that matter, you don't even know what spells you have would even do. And the elvish man, as you're like struggling to think of like what spells could be useful to you, like what you might be able to do, the muscular elf literally just picks you up and hoists you over their shoulder and just starts walking down the hall.
I'm gonna kick him. I'm gonna kick him.
You trying to hurt him, or
I'm gonna fucking wail on this asshole until he lets me go.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
I think I figured out why my internet connection has been so bad on this computer.
Oh, do tell.
There are these two little attachments that came with the computer that plug into these two little nods labeled Wi-Fi. And the second I screwed one of them on, the connection strength jumped straight up to maximum.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
I was supposed to put these two, like, receptors or something on it so it could get a good connection. And I just completely
I know that I've been there before. It sucks.
I've had this for months. I can't even right now. I cannot even right now.
Kenny, I can't. Okay. All right. Roll a d20.
Okay, don't fail me now. Yellow dice. And then it rolled away.
Or rather, please fail, I would assume.
It rolled away. 3.
Okay.
My fight stopped there. Just in time.
Sorry, you start just with all the dwarvish strength you can muster, just start punching and kicking at this muscular elf's chest and shoulder and back. But they don't even flinch as they continue just carting you effortlessly down the hall with you hoisted over their shoulder like a bag of sand.
I'm just gonna fucking come back, you idiot.
Sorry, what languages do you speak?
That's a good question. Yeah, does it change based on,
Not overly significantly, just that, to be frank, that would kind of overcomplicate things. But here, I'll pull up your character sheet. And real quick, Greylog, what did you roll on that D20 roll I requested?
Oh, it was a 2.
Okay, thank you. Just making sure I got that result noted.
Earlier it was a 3. This time it's
okay. No, the 2. This is what I needed. Thank you. Okay, you speak those languages, and sorry, double checking something. Okay. Sorry, roll me a d20 if you don't mind. 6. Okay. Sorry, the heavyset elf starts to speak in Elvish, which is a language you are not ordinarily fluent in. However, you find that strangely, the words being spoken actually make sense to you, almost instinctually. As they kind of, again, just with you hoisted over their shoulder and walking down the hall away from the squabbling mercenaries and adventurers, as Greylog, last you saw, just slipped into the crowd and disappeared. As the man carts you away, he starts to say in Elvish, just very low and gravelly, I got orders.
So it was like the big stupid guy who just follows orders? You don't have a single thought in that head of yours?
I have a few I shouldn't say in front of a lady.
Very funny. Put me down so I can go get some stuff so I can kick some ass. You are not the only people. Hang on.
I'm just thinking about this.
Greylog.
You are not the only people
No worries.
on this goddamn ship.
This is
Okay,
reversed. You would be way over. You would do the exact same thing, but worse.
I'm not saying I wouldn't.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly.
Sorry, the elf at this point just starts to ignore you as they continue to just cart you down the hall as you just rant and scream at them in Elvish the whole way. Greylog.
I'm just gonna fucking go back.
As you sneak your way past the two at the door and the scene with Asari starts to play out behind you, taking a look around, you see the room itself is pretty much the same as when you left it. The only two differences being that you've noticed that there is no sign of forced entry, so likely the door was not only unlocked, but probably just open whenever the fighters got here. These people don't strike you as the type to just let... they're more like type to kick a door open than just open it like a normal person, if you catch my drift. But what also interests you is looking around, you notice the weapons have been sorted. All of those ones that were kind of weirdly advanced technologically appear to be missing, and the weapons are now sorted in these very nice, prim and proper rows. You can see crates of just kind of miscellaneous things, but also like displays of armor and little neat rows of various weapons, bows, spears, swords, daggers, clubs, maces, all just in nice little rows and displays of various armors, weapons, and miscellaneous items. Currently in the room with you, you see two elves, a boy and a girl. The elvish man has kind of like paler skin and is wearing a hooded cloak that matches the blue, black, and golds of his comrades. And you can see is carrying what appears to be a halberd on their back. And the woman appears to be a wood elf with black hair and darker skin, and is carrying what appears to be a trident. Her armor is a lot more form-fitting and utilitarian compared to the more ceremonial garb of the two brothers. The two of them are going over the pole arms and do not appear to have noticed you yet, partially because of your stealthy entry, and also because, similar to their brother, they either seem to be unconsciously like, oh, elf, must be one of us, or just not having expected anyone who wasn't supposed to be here to get past their brothers.
Okay.
That said, Greylog, for now you are unbothered. As Asari is dragged away behind you, what would you like to do?
I want to look at different sets of armor and a couple of long-range weapons. And maybe a better set.
Okay, so long-range weapons. Okay, so armor, ranged weapons, and staff?
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm looking for, like, that I can find.
Okay. Bear in mind you're going purely off of visual for this since you don't know what a lot of these do mechanically, but noted. Okay. Also, real quick, are you counting shield as part of armor? And are you looking for complete armor sets, or is just helmets, gauntlets, boots, etc. fine as well? Like, just so I know what is or is not on your list.
It doesn't have to be a complete set. And I guess shields
Okay.
would be in there. if I think it is good enough.
Okay. Little vague, but I'll work with it. First, in the realm of staffs, you see a few different ones that catch your attention. Interestingly, you notice one that appears like it's meant to look like a cane, so that you could like sneak it in somewhere without being questioned. But the ones that you kind of get your attention drawn to more among the staffs, you see a staff that is this kind of dark red and orange that ends in a kind of bursting flame pattern, almost like a kind of phoenix design to it. So that is one staff you notice. You notice another that is a kind of like light bluish and white color. It has a kind of blunt, almost cudgel-like end to it, but you notice that among that kind of tight knot of wood is also this kind of like fluttering white energy.
Okay.
You see another one that seems to end in this kind of like almost looping blackjack style thing at the end, like something you would see being used to herd animals, you know, like grab them by the horns. And finally, for staffs, you see a kind of dark brown and green colored one that ends in a kind of nest of thorns. So those are the staffs you see.
So I'm going to grab the Phoenix one.
Okay.
The last one, and that white and blue one.
Okay. All right. Sorry, there was one I forgot. You also see a kind of plain-looking blackish-brown one, but it ends with two, like, and this is just part of the design. It has its ornamental end that is two snakes wrapped around each other. You've seen this emblem occasionally as the emblem of doctors on some of Asari's possessions.
Anything but nah.
Okay. All right. So you grab the Phoenix one, the Thorn one, and the bluish white one. Okay. For the ranged weapons you're looking for, does ammunition count, or are you just looking for like ranged weapons, like of any sort?
I am looking for ammunition for it as well. So
Okay.
Arrows to go with those.
All right. For arrows, you see quite a few. They appear to be just sorted into these different quivers. One you notice appears to be normal arrows with this kind of like leather and fur made quiver, but on pulling one of the arrows out to inspect them curiously, as again outside of the pole arms, you aren't really being bothered by the other fighters too much. But you notice the shaft of the arrow is this kind of deep black with flecks of sickly green. So that's one interesting set of arrows you find. You find these ones that kind of smell bad. You see that they are all painted, the arrowheads are all painted this kind of glowy neon green, and they all smell terrible. You see one. This is by far, you notice, the least, let's call it occupied quiver. Only 4 arrows in the quiver in total. They are a pale honey color with white fletching and bands of gold behind the arrowhead. And finally, at least in terms of the arrows, you see a quiver of arrows that you look over them, they don't appear to be immediately and obviously remarkable in any way. The only thing you notice that's kind of interesting is that the fletching are all this kind of like brilliant ruby red, but even then, that's not particularly unusual. You've seen arrows like that in the past. So these arrows don't seem remarkable to you. Although you do notice, I will say, that the arrowheads appear to be made out of steel rather than just iron or stone.
I'm going to grab a set of each type of arrow, like one quiver from each.
Okay.
And then start looking for a bow.
Okay, so you're going to be looking for a bow specifically?
Correct.
Okay. Doot, doot, doot.
Since he is only a lowly commoner now, he will need at least something that he can do from a distance.
Fair. Okay. So for bows, you see a short bow. No, nothing particularly remarkable about its appearance that you can discern. Most of the bows, in fact, appear to be that way. You see that they appear to have, doing a quick head count, sorry, 2, 3. You see that there's 5 bows in the weapons locker in total. 2 of them appear to be completely just unremarkable from just an observation. But the other 3 do have a bit more distinction to them. One of them appears to be a short bow, but you notice that on the midpoint, like where the person would grasp it, there's these prisms of much darker wood that form this kind of cylindrical center. So it's almost like a staff where your hand would grip it that then curves into the bow, which does kind of intrigue you a little bit. Another one that appears to be completely unremarkable as well. Most of the bows, if they are intricately designed or magical, you can't tell. The only other bow you notice that has a unique design to it is this composite longbow with these various gemstones and metals set in a diamond pattern above the handle. Like you can see like iron and copper ore and brass ore, and also these rubies and diamonds and pearls in these just little diamond shapes all up and down the staff, or rather the heft of the bow, so to speak. And this one is a longbow.
Okay, then I would take the longer bow and the short bow.
All right, the 2 that had the more distinctive designs?
Correct.
Okay.
And then the others, I want to take the bow string.
So you're going to take the 2 bows and then cut the strings from the other 2?
No,
or the other 3?
No, not cut, just on the hook.
Okay. Just a second. Sorry, I'm keeping tabs of everything you're grabbing here. All right. Roll me a d20.
No. Jeremy, why?
4.
Did you forget?
Except he's a commoner now. He's not a druid.
Yeah,
He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Okay.
it's true, but
That's true.
I feel like he's already risking what he's doing, but anyway.
Yeah, I do too.
He's most likely gonna regret it, but you know. Interesting.
Yeah, Greylog, did you hear what I said? Roll me a d20 in case you didn't.
Yeah, it was a 4.
Okay. Greylog, you begin to untie the bowstrings from the other bows in this room. Are you taking them with you or just leaving them unstringed? What's the plan?
Taking the strings with me.
Okay.
Just in case.
All right. You begin to untie the bowstrings from the bows themselves, and you're about midway through the second one when you hear a voice pipe up behind you.
Yep, I had a feeling.
And just what are you doing exactly?
Grabbing some extra bowstrings. Why not?
Turning, you see that it is the elvish woman who's speaking to you. And as you kind of take her in and she looks you up and down and gives you this kind of like sinister smirk, she smiles and, you know, that is rather unkind. There's not enough bows here for everyone, after all, and you're dwindling the supply even further.
Yeah, exactly. Don't want the other competition to get it.
And is there a particular reason that I shouldn't have my brother pass along word of what I just caught you doing and leave you to the tender mercies of any other prospective archers in this tournament?
Well, because it also helps you out too. The less weapons that there are to go around, the less you have to fight up against.
Indeed. But our team is already quite unpopular, as we have discipline that these other mercenaries lack. It would do us good to foster some goodwill by turning in a thief.
Not a thief. Everything here is fair game. They were in the rules where was it said that we could not take bowstrings.
You're placing a lot of faith in the legal specificity of pirates.
True. But as you also said, mercenaries. Not all pirates are mercenaries.
And not all mercenaries are pirates.
Sure.
As I said, give me a good reason why letting you go here and now is better for my family and I than turning you in for the goodwill and rewards it may earn us.
And he's going to think on that one. How does money sound?
It's something I can always use.
He'll pull out 20 gold.
She smirks and make it 30 and you have a deal.
Fine. He'll pull out another 10 and pass it to her.
She takes the gold and nods over your shoulder, and you turn and see that her brother at some point during the conversation had skulked up behind you and had his halberd in hand. But he lowers it and slides it back onto his back with a smile to you. And she gives you a nod, and you may go about your business, although I would still suggest you keep your penny pinching a secret. In the meantime, you may walk out of this room without bruises. There is no archers among my family anyway.
That's fair. So I'm still looking around, but I'll try to stay out of your way.
Roll me a d20.
That is a natural 1.
She smiles as you turn away, and after she's pocketed the gold and kind of tightened the pouch to her belt, she kind of glances at you as you start going back to start working on the third bow. As I mentioned, this happened like midway through you doing the second one. She kind of pipes up behind your back. If there's actually a need for bowstring, there's one in that. There's some magical bowstring in that crate in the left corner.
Ah, good to know. I hope you don't mind if I take that with me.
She gives a smirk, and we are not fighting you just yet. And from the rules that Captain Merrick has set for us, it's likely what you find in this room will do you no good when you fight my family and I, and of course suffer a predictable and humiliating defeat. I see no reason not to have a dignified affair to you getting there.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Just as I hope you will remember that appreciation when the time comes for you to repay the favor.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. Within reason.
I don't recall getting that in writing. Greylog, you managed to detach the third of the bowstrings, and do you take up her suggestion to search one of the crates for bowstring?
I do.
All right. Let me pull the relevant thing up. Definitely one of the bigger just hordes of magic items I've put in front of you guys. You see that among a crate of just various rings and medallions and just miscellaneous crap, you do indeed see towards the top of the case a kind of lightly gleaming thread of bowstring wrapped around a I forget what the word for it is, spool, wrapped around a spool.
I will pocket.
Okay.
I'll also take my backpack and take some of the rings, amulets.
Okay. All right. Noted.
Not picking, just grabbing a handful here, a handful there.
Okay. And as for your final request of armor, again, you see a fair few, and since you said that you're not specifically looking for full sets, although I will say, to avoid this just becoming a kind of glorified shopping list, as mentioned, I will be focusing on like basically full sets of armor. But if you can give me more specific, like, oh, I want to find something like this or a helmet or something like that, that'll give me a little bit more to work with. So just
the first thing he wants to look for is like something strong, because since he doesn't have his druid abilities,
yeah.
he's
So
not
like
limited to,
chainmail, plate mail.
He's looking. He'll go more towards the plate mail.
Okay. In that case, that's a lot easier. You find a set of plate mail that is completely pitch ebony black. It's not a complete toe-to-tip plate. Like there are some noticeable gaps in it, but regardless of those little gaps, the plate looks thick, and it looks crazy heavy, but beyond that, it looks like a certainly reliable set of armor. The one thing you do notice, though, is that despite the pure blackness of it, you notice that it kind of gives off this gleam in the dull lantern light of this room, which is kind of odd that it like almost glows despite being dark.
Okay. Is that the only set?
In terms of plate mail, yes. The others appear to be either incomplete or just simply not plate mail.
So I will grab that set.
Okay, I will say at this point you're well over your carrying capacity.
He was going to stop with that. He's going to put that armor on at that moment to help him carry.
All right, so you're going to put it on? All right. Yeah, all right. Okay. Greylog, you start putting on your new ebony plate mail. you basically sling the bows you've taken over your shoulder and just tighten your backpack, which is now kind of clittering and clanging with the noises of your stolen amassment of jewelry and bowstrings
and arrows.
Yeah. The brother of the two elves kind of smirks at you as they lean on a newly acquired pike and so tell me, is your plan to just take the entire armory and walk out?
Just what I carry. There's plenty more.
He kind of gives you a smirk, and I find myself doubting that even your entire team will have use for all of that.
Well, if not, I can always barter with other teams.
He gives you another smile, and indeed you can. I would recommend not getting spotted on the way out. I feel like our fellow competitors in the major leagues will be a touch less forgiving than my siblings and I.
Yeah. That's a good point. Though, I have a couple of ideas on how to disperse the crowd.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, friend. Because I can promise you my sister and I will not be rushing to your aid if you get caught.
Yeah, I wouldn't ask it of you.
Smart man.
So how does it look outside?
At this point, the brawl has mostly abated. You notice that at this point, most people have turned their attention away from fighting each other at this point, and it seems like Asari being carted away has not only gotten people's attention off of the ensuing brawl and kind of gave them a moment to like collect themselves, so to speak, but also has given these people the impression that maybe between all of them they can overpower the one skinny, helpless-looking elf that's blocking their way into the armory. And he's just kind of like raising his hands and like trying to keep the crowd calm and presumably prevent them from enacting some terrible violence on his person. But for now, all eyes in the crowd are no longer concerned with each other, but on the armory and those keeping them from entering it.
Okay, so I want to try to throw my voice out through the door without being seen. Like from the other side of the door. And I want to give them the idea that there's a second armory on the other side of the arena.
What the actual fuck?
Roll a d20.
Maybe some will be dumb enough
I
to
just
just...
rolled. I got a 19. That would not pass.
That
A natural
is a
20.
2.
A 4.
Okay.
A 17. A 1. Manifest.
Greylog, you kind of sneak your way near the door, and you notice the two elves just kind of start watching you with some interest as you kind of slink into the shadows to be out of sight. Your plate mail actually doing you a little bit of a solid there. And immediately start like trying to do this little improvised ventriloquist act. And while you, to your credit, you are able to convincingly throw your voice to make it sound like it came from the crowd, your argument is less than winning, and you can hear a voice from within the crowd. That's a bunch of bullshit and you know it!
And why would I say that if it wasn't true?
You want all of the weapons in that armory for yourselves!
Let me at him! Let me at him!
At that point, it is time for Greylog to try out one of his creations.
Oh no.
Smoke grenade.
Oh no.
We'll see what it does now. What's...
Okay, where are you throwing it?
Into the crowd.
Oh,
Like he's throwing two. One is in the middle of the crowd and one at the base of the crowd.
okay. Everyone dies. No fights.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, now I'm rolling now.
Greylog, you throw one of your smoke bombs into the crowd, and with a the hallway and entrance of the armory, and even parts of the armory itself, start to fill with smoke. You've, of course, used up a smoke bomb, so note that accordingly, but for now, the area is filled with smoke, and the now far more aggressive cries of the crowd. As, bear in mind, with civilians, they would be prone to just panic in a situation like this, but these are all hardened veterans and fighters, so their fight and flight response, from the sounds of it, is a fight response.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I am going to quickly dart out the door and move to the side, so that when they start to go for the door, he's not there.
Okay. You gonna try and remain unseen?
Yes.
Roll d20.
Ooh, that's a nasty. That's nasty.
3.
Okay. Greylog, you kind of slink your way out the door, and as the smoke begins to almost like dissipate from the sheer force of what sounds to be a re-ensued brawl, you snake your way away from the smoke, and just as it's starting to clear, with a of your plate mail, start immediately just booking it down the hall. Asari, Asari, you are gently deposited at the entrance of the minor league locker room, and the muscular elf promptly starts to, without a further word to you, walk back down the hall towards the armory.
I'll just scold him. If I was my real size, you would be dead.
If I was my real size, nothing would change.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. Not impressed. A pout.
Don't need you to be impressed. Need you to be quiet.
I'm not gonna be that either.
We all have our faults.
I'm gonna kick him.
I wish I brought up to him, kick him.
I'm just gonna kick him. I'm an angry dwarf.
Greylog, as you're clanking away from the crime scene, you see Asari going down the hall behind the muscular elf who had left several minutes ago, kicking them the whole way, and they just don't seem to be reacting.
No, it's true.
Sorry, that's enough. Let the poor guy be.
Just because he's bigger than me, he thinks he can be the boss. It's not cool.
Yes, but I guarantee when he gets back, he's gonna have plenty
Also,
on
he picked me up like I was a child.
Well, you are the size of a child right now.
I wonder how that feels.
somewhere Zephyr's like, I feel you.
Yeah, Zephyr's like at this point like the fucking general of the Tebadron army or some shit, and just like, The elf just kind of with a vague movement of the head starts just stomping their way back down the hallway towards their family.
I'm just gonna flick him off as he goes.
Asari, as he turns the corner and your rage finally subsides for the time being, you finally take in that Greylog is standing before you, bedecked in midnight black plate mail with 4 quivers strapped to his back, 2 bows, and a backpack that is jingling maniacally as he goes.
And 4 steps. Or 3 steps.
I'll tilt my head to him and I'll just be like, you think we've got enough? Jeez. Get the whole fucking armory.
Oh, not even close. But it was
I was being
fun getting out of there.
Alright, let's show me the goods.
Let's go somewhere a bit more isolated. If you don't mind.
Ooh. 2-in-1 special.
I had so many things pop my head.
Alright. So, Greylog, are you just going to have Asari try and identify what items these are, or what's the plan?
He's going to try to get her to identify them.
Okay.
But he's going to look for like a empty room where we won't just be with all this good stuff.
Well, there are various supply closets in the area as well, although you do recall there's that animal storage room if you want to head there.
Yeah, that sounds like a good spot.
Okay.
And if he runs across Paul and the others, he'll get them to come with him.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, Paul's on the top deck and Avamon's in the arena, so once we've wrapped up your business, we'll cut to the party, kind of reconvening. All right. Sorry, roll me. Yeah, I'll call this a D20.
Okay, D20. Okay, which one should I use?
Yeah, I was debating on.
Rolling like shit. Ooh.
D20 or D100, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but D20 should be fine.
I can.
I think she said it's either a 9 or a 6.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What?
Can you hear me now?
Vaguely.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
There we are. I don't know if it's a 6 or
Does it have a line?
They both have lines.
I know, but the line is the bottom part?
One has.
Okay.
Okay. But which is the bottom part? Like on the upper part.
Basically, put the line at the very bottom. That's the number.
Yeah. Basically, if the line's on the bottom of the number, then you have it right.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's 9.
Okay. Greylog has assembled quite the collection here. Over the course of the day, or rather the afternoon, as Paul donates money and Avabin practices with their various arrows along with the Swarm Storm, you two spend the better part of the day going over the magic items. However, I will say, since Greylog, you said you wanted to head to the animal locker area in particular. On your way there, the thought does occur to you that that room's usually locked, so you're a little concerned. But after a moment, you see the door open from the inside, and Justin and Al step out. And they both kind of jump wildly when they see the two of you approach. But especially with Greylog, the armor you're wearing and all the noise it's making. But once you see Justin kind of tip their hat to you, Asari, and give me a knife right there, miss.
Hey, it's my friend. What are you doing?
Oh, just commandeering this here supply room for our own ends for a minute. Secret team strategy stuff. Stuff we're really not at liberty to share. But
Are you finished with the supply room? We actually,
oh, yes, miss. Our business is just about concluded. You are free to use the room as your wish. But and Al pipes up, lock up when you're done. Don't forget.
Do you have an extra dagger or something that I can use to lock it?
You could probably lock it from the inside, right?
Well, then how would you plan on getting out?
Wait, I'm confused.
He's saying lock up when you leave.
Yeah, basically, when you're done, close and lock the door behind you.
Okay, so how are we supposed to lock the door? Or, like, we're not as efficient as you friends with those two. At least I don't think.
Al kind of gives you a smirk and same way you got in. And Greylog, to your request, he holds the I'll call it the polite end of a dagger out to you.
I will take it and I'll take it right in my backpack real quick, and I'll pull out like a ring that I took from the storeroom. Here.
Were you a thief before coming to London?
No. Well, on and off.
You should get yourself a proper set of tools. If you hack off every lock you need to pick, you're eventually going to get caught.
Yeah, I'm gonna invest in that once I'm done here.
Well, we'll be seeing all of you around. Say hello to your team for us. Al, we had to be getting to the arena for some practice with the new bows, yeah? And with that, the two of them start kind of seeming a little on edge, making their way down the hall, leaving the two of you alone.
Can I make, like, do they seem, like, weird? Like, can I do a vibe check?
Roll a d20. Because I know what they're trying to do is the first edition equivalent of, like, an insight check, so.
Okay, 3.
Okay.
I was surprised.
Okay. Asari, you can tell from their body language as they immediately kind of hunch their shoulders and like start kind of muttering to each other as they head down the hall. Something's got the two of them spooked. They're really like nervous and on edge about something.
I'm gonna say something to Grilla. They still forget to you. I mean, more so than usual.
Well, considering in the arena they told us that we might have to fight dragons and stuff. Can you blame them?
I have a feeling that I saw something here that's kind of scary. So why don't we have a see while we're in here?
Yeah, I'll have you look at the items and I'll take a look around.
Just be careful.
I always am.
Don't do anything that you're supposed to do.
All right. As the two of you head inside the animal supply room, it's not significantly changed from the first time you were here. The only difference you notice is that some of the animals are missing, like cage and all. So you imagine they've been transported elsewhere now that the tournament is like underway and they've had a few days to get set up. So there's far less animals in the room. It's just a few kind of scattered cages of the animals that hadn't been transported yet. So the room's a lot clearer than the first time you were in here. And Asari, you kind of sit and start going to work. As you work on identifying the items, Greylog, are you just going to sit and get the identifications from Asari, or?
I want to let her take note of what she finds. I want to meditate to see if I can pray to the nature spirits and see if I can't get my abilities back.
Okay. Roll me a D100. You're going to have to put it in text. Sorry.
You told me to real.
No, that is Greylog. They're trying to meditate.
I was gonna say that. I was worried if I
89.
Okay.
1. I rolled a 1.
Sorry. You find yourself unable to draw on magic that would let you just full on identify these items and what they do. However, you're an archaeologist. You've seen your fair share of magical artifacts, not to mention what you've seen with the party. So you think you have like a fairly decent grip on what these items are and what they do. The kind of plate mail that Greylog was wearing, and I presume took off for the identification process.
Correct.
You actually recognize this. This is a historical artifact. Specifically, it is the black obsidian dragon scale mail worn by Lord Uther the First of the Ordo Draconis. The paladins, and again, one of each of the Dragon Slayers went on to establish their own knightly orders, the Ordo Draconis being one of them.
Hang on, my ink went out. What was his name?
Lord Uther the First.
Lord.
He was the Lord of the Dragon Knights.
Dragon Knights?
Yes. It is said that it was commissioned for him in the great capital of his lands before he set out with amassed troops to raid the land of the dragons and cull their numbers. Supposedly, his armor had magical properties. It could glow in a very large radius. And it is said that attention was always drawn to the man wearing it. Basically the idea being that Lord Uther, when leading the Dragon Slayers, the dragons would all be focusing on him and his dark armor that simultaneously glowed. All attention would be drawn to him and away from the other troops. It is said that the man wearing this armor can never hide, but on the kind of off version of that, while he can never hide, enemies will always be drawn to him instead of potentially more important targets, such as spellcasters and healers.
Okay. I'm going to say to Greylog, this plate mail is... I would never thought I would see this. This is really cool. Lord Uther the First had this back in the day. But I don't think you should wear it, darling, because when somebody wears it, there's like they can't really hide, and you I just think maybe you should give it to Paul.
Oh, I was planning to.
Okay. All right. So what else can I?
But just look at,
ask?
just think how great he'll look at this armor.
He's gonna look really awesome in it.
Is a homebrew item that's going to be later on afterwards.
Yeah, it's been mentioned to your characters that if there are items that you really like from the different games, as basically in addition to the Spear of Ares and a cash prize, you can pick one item from that you used in the tournament that you just really liked and want to bring back with you.
That's cool. But yeah, this is actually a historical piece. I am just completely amazed I'm even touching it right now. So this is really cool for me. What else can I ascertain?
The rest are a little less impressive to your archaeologist side, but no less noteworthy. The 4 quivers that Greylog picked up, one of them, you don't know the specifics, but you do notice it contains teleportation magic, although you cannot fathom what the use of teleportation magic would be for arrows.
Okay.
Is it like the bag of holding quiver?
This is interesting. All right.
The bow that has the deep black with the sickly green flecks in the center, you notice gives off an air of necromancy.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, the bow that had that coloring. Sorry, or arrows. See, I made the mistake twice.
Okay. Are they arrows?
Yeah, they're arrows. The thing you shoot out of the bow.
I wanted to know because I'm writing as you're talking. So.
Yeah. That's my fault. Sorry. The stinky arrows. You actually recognize these as well. These are also historical artifacts. You don't know the legend by name, but you've heard the story itself before, that supposedly these twin mages just always work together on various projects, and a great archer from, again, the dragon slaying days commissioned these twin mages to create magical arrows for what he considered to be his final crusade with his order. A great paladin archer wielded these arrows in their battle against the dragons, and supposedly these arrows' stench was so bad, comparable to the undead, that the dragons would fall ill before the arrow even hit them.
Yeah,
okay, so like it's poison?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one that you noticed the quiver only had 4 arrows in it, the ones that are like that pale honey color, they give you an air of alteration magic, and what appears to your like relatively savvy scholarly mind to be some dimensional energy, although which dimension you're not sure.
I think Avon's going to love these. It was I'm questioning some of these. Like the necromancy may not be good. I'm not really 100%. The stinky arrows, though, are also historical, but they're basically like poisonous. So that was a really good find. As for the 4 arrows, their alteration, though I'm not really sure which dimension they travel in, so it's gonna be a toss up.
Well, could be worse.
The bow with the black cylinder, this is what I was thinking of earlier, but it wasn't actually what it was. It doesn't appear historical as far as you can tell. but it does give off some magic, although you can't tell exactly what. However, what does kind of catch your interest is you notice that there's some actually very subtle errors in that central staff, like just subtle little bumps and imperfections, which you're not a bowyer, you're not an archer, so you don't know what effect this will have on the arrows that are fired, but it does catch your attention that there's these like little subtle errors in the central staff that you feel like would probably throw off the arrow's aim in some way.
I'll note to Greylog. I'm not an archer, as you know. Maybe Avaben might know more about this bow than I do. But it is magical in nature, so there is that.
Okay, what about the longbow?
Yeah, the longbow, the one that has all the gems and stuff studded into it. You actually recognize what this is. It's not a unique historical artifact, but it is a kind of old thing. Like, just it's an old relic that's interesting to find. Think of it as like the equivalent of a Roman gladius sword. Like, oh, that's an interesting find. It's not like one of a kind, but it's interesting. You recognize this as a signal bow. Basically, back during the Dragon Crusades, archers would use these to communicate messages over long distances. Basically, firing a different kind of arrow would produce a different sound when fired from this bow, and then other paladins and knights who heard the sound would obviously respond accordingly. Think of it as like a medieval flare gun before gunpowder was invented.
Okay. This one is pretty useless. I mean, I'm sure it will have its uses, but it's more like for signaling. I don't see how we could use it in combat, but
That could be
really
useful
cool.
later.
It's really cool.
It is.
Is that all? Oh my God, Dobby.
No worries.
There's also, I think 3 staff.
There's deer in the driveway, so I'm.
All right. The last of the bow-related items that you find is some of the bowstring.
Things are coming out. He wants to kill.
Yeah. Some the bowstring that you found, or rather that Greylog found. Again, you're actually familiar with it. Again, not a unique artifact, but not quite a commonly occurring one either. You recognize this as silver bowstring that is typically only twined by the fair folk, like those of Sherwood that Avaben lived with. This was typically gifted to archers that were very close to the fair folk in some way. Supposedly, this bowstring is engineered so that those of an evil persuasion cannot use it, so that their weapons can never be turned against them. And supposedly, not only would arrows fired from bows twined with this string be more accurate and hurtful, but you've also heard that archers who got good with this string would be able to magically ignite their arrows on loosing them. All that's left is the staffs, which I will again just kind of glaze over, since again you don't have like a proper identify with which to identify these.
Okay.
The first staff, again, historical artifact. You actually recognize this. It was once used by an ancient wizard king. It's a gnarled redwood staff, and you actually notice something that Greylog missed. The head of the staff that has that kind of decorative flame pattern, the reason it gives off that kind of glow compared to the rest of the weapons, like kind of duller colors, is from a red, fiery monocrystal embedded in the tip.
Ooh.
from the legends you've heard, this staff was created using 12 fire elementals who were sacrificed to fuel the crystal for potentially all eternity, and that the staff acted as an enhanced focus that helped the Wizard King burn anything he wanted.
Okay, enhanced focus. Fiery death. Got it.
The next one, the one that has that the one that didn't really have any distinct look to it other than like being like a seemingly ordinary staff, but it was still one that Greylog grabbed. You also recognize it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, this would be the light blue and white one, by the way, for Greylog's reference. You actually recognize this. To the untrained eye, it appears to be an either unremarkable focus, or you've heard that a lot of historians famously mistook this staff as being a staff of magic missile, but that is not the case. You are confident that what you're holding in your hand is a unique magical artifact from ancient history. Back during the Second Age, when the old elvish empire of Minotis was collapsing and its transition into the Third Age was beginning, one of the colonels of Minotis became one of the first wild mages. And supposedly they wielded this staff during them leading an uprising in the lands of Perugia against the Minotian front. The survivors were all forced to either integrate into what is now Sherwood or return to the Minotis capital, which no elf living knows where it is. Supposedly, this staff was used to control the colonel, who went by the name Evelyn Veilgarden. Supposedly, this helped Lady Veilgarden, formerly Colonel Veilgarden, control her unpredictable surges of magic. And supposedly, some of that essence of her random, chaotic, uncontrolled magic is still in the weapon today.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm gonna hold on to this. I'll be like, can I have this one, please? This is really cool. And I'll explain to him in great detail as to what it is.
Yes, you can hold on to that one.
This one is mine. That's it. This one is mine. Does it also act as a focus?
Yeah, it's a staff. All staffs count as focuses.
Okay.
The final one, the one that has all those thorns on it, it doesn't appear overly remarkable to you. It does appear like a very good focus. However, you're familiar with this core design. The thorny staff is typically used by druids or nature clerics, and supposedly staffs of this design were directly and personally enchanted by the gods of nature, which supposedly was one of the few times that the first clerics and druids got to directly commune with their spirits and gods. But that obviously came at some cost. Obviously, a staff that has to be personally charged by spirits of nature or a god of nature is only going to be useful until it runs out of magic. Okay. However, supposedly when the staff is fueled, it's capable of some great feats. You've heard of some of the first druids that participated in the Dragon Crusades. Using this staff, were able to call down like hurricanes with but a wave of the staff.
I will hold this one out to Greylog. You're gonna love this one. Druids, a long time ago, had these. The first druids, actually. So, if you are able to still commune with your gods or god, I would definitely use this staff because it was basically made to commune with them, so you might have better luck with it.
That's a good idea. And then what about all of the amulets and rings?
All the what?
Amulets and rings.
You don't have time to identify all of those in addition to those. Like, bear in mind, this process took hours just to identify the armor, weapons, and staffs.
It's fair.
Yeah, darling, I still need to sleep, and I'm fucking exhausted from this. Since we're in this room, can I see, now that I'm done doing what I was asked, could I see what may have frightened my friends?
Do you know what you're looking for, or are you just going to kind of search the room to see if anything freaky happens?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Roll me a d20, and in the meantime, just keep your result on hand. I'll come back to you. Greylog.
Okay.
As Asari throughout the day just periodically cuts in to your meditation with a quick description of what she's figured out and what she thinks the items might be capable of, you're mostly satisfied with a lot of what you got and seem to have a bit more confidence in some of their utility than Asari does. However, you're focused more on your prayer. You pray for penitence if you should feel it. You pray apologies if you feel they would be sincere.
He does. And also the fact that he was ignorant at the time and wishes to learn.
I like how you just said that when you just stole, or you just
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say,
you just...
your prayers go unanswered, and the sense of guilt in your heart only increases as you feel this almost like cold in your chest whenever you start praying, saying that, like, oh, I was ignorant when I did that, I knew better, or rather I know better now. And then the images flash through your mind of the sabotage, the theft, the unfair stealing of far more than your fair share from other fighters. Especially because the fighters who were there before you, as far as you can tell, were not cheating. The only thing they were doing that was unfair was getting first dibs. They were going out of their way to not take anything they didn't need, and in fact wanted every other fighter to be able to fight with dignity. So while they may have been ensuring they got the best stuff, at least for themselves, they touched nothing that would have benefited other people and did not take more than their fair share. First come, first serve, but all others should still be served. You, Greylog Orchin, understanding full well the weight of what you were doing, made the decision executively that your team deserved an unfair advantage over all the other fighters and were willing to sneak, steal, and lie to do it.
So when he feels this, an idea comes to him, and he's going to think of the idea of taking what's in his backpack to the minor leagues locker to share with them. So not just keeping it to himself.
Okay. Asari, what did you get on your 20 roll?
Sorry, I was distracted. Hang on. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, that scared me. I thought it was going to be a natural 20. That scared me. 8. Oh, don't do that.
All right.
I'm going to have a panic attack.
Asari, as Greylog's brow kind of furrows and they kind of put a hand over their chest in their prayer, you're not focusing on them. You're focusing on the surroundings. Something had the 7 samurai spooked, and you want to figure out what it is. But you trace along the walls, you check every cage, you press your head to some of the doors and walls, you even check under the stairs.
Okay,
Nothing in here gives you any obvious indication of what would have scared them so badly.
Okay, so since there's nothing that I can see, could I make a deduction of what is missing?
The only things you notice missing, as mentioned, many of the animals were taken away. You notice the dragons, some of the larger creatures in general. Most of the ones that are still here are ones like the frog. You notice a small rooster-like creature. Just a lot of the smaller ones that can, stay in these cages for a little bit longer appear to have not been as highly prioritized. The only creatures that, because none of you other than Flower and Fall really took the time to look at the animals themselves, other than like Greylog's interrogations. The only animals you can immediately just snap of the finger, I remember that was here and now it's not, are the dragons and just some of the larger ones in general.
Yeah, but I can't imagine that's spooking them.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm gonna go back over to Greylog and sit with him. Something is really bothering me about this situation. Why were they so spooked? I mean, that guy is a legend. He doesn't seem to be the kind of guy that would be spooked by, the missing dragons.
Maybe we have it wrong. Maybe it's your competition they're spooked about.
Yeah, well, we don't know who they're up against. Actually, we don't know who we are up against. Do we know where Vaben is? I think he went to go check.
He went to the arena to go practice. But
I think I will go check the roster, and you just try to stay out of trouble, alright?
okay, I'm going to take our stuff back to
I'm gonna hold on
our
to this.
room. Yeah, you're going to hold on to your staff.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to this because this is really cool.
And if you see, when you find Ivan, let him know that I have stuff for him if he wants it.
Yeah, and if you
Paul.
call, yeah, if I see anybody that is in our little group, I will pass on the messages. You just stay out of trouble, all right?
So, since you were able to identify the rest of the amulets and stuff in the bag, I've gotten a feeling when I was meditating, because of the fact that I stole and got the unfair advantage, that maybe if I share, it might help. So I want to share with the rest of the other league.
Can I suggest something for you?
Listening.
Well, druids back in the day were very fervent on their prayers, and they were not only just religious, they walked the walk and talked the talk. So I think maybe more than one act of goodness, maybe in your future, if you understand.
Yes, but I can only do one act at a time.
I know, darling, I do. But I think doing less of trying to get us an upper hand and more of just try not to care so much. I mean, you're usually pretty, relaxed. Just don't take sides right now, you know?
Yes, that's fair. But I'm also going to start by spreading the advantage to other teams.
Yes, restore the balance. That is very important. Balance must be restored. That is very important, especially because of druids back in the day. They were very, very keen on balance.
So I will use these amulets, rings, and stuff like that.
Well, I would keep the ones that we think would do our team the good.
No.
I'm keeping mine.
Yeah, I'm not saying the weapons. I'm saying just the amulets, the rings, bracelets, and all
I'm just saying, you still want to help your friends be able to defend yourself, but that they should be able to defend themselves as well.
I think I've already more than done that with giving Paul the armor that he's going to get. You, your staff, me, my staff, and the bow for Ivan.
Did you get anything? Did you get anything for the girls?
I didn't. Not without being able to start a fight.
Let's see.
But they have items already that they should be just fine.
All right. Stay out of trouble. And I'm going.
All right. You're heading out, Greylog?
He's going to pack up the fire staff and the druid staff, the black armor, the arrows, 2 bows.
You want the thorny staff, sweetheart.
Okay, so the two of you head out then, and sorry, where are you going?
I'm gonna go and see if I can find the roster and just kind of gauge if maybe it's who they're up against, why they're so freaked out.
Okay, noted. And Greylog, where are you going?
He's going back to the room.
Okay.
Where we all sleep, and he's going to start passing out amulets, rings, stuff like that, to other competitors.
Okay. Noted. And so that's all the business. Nothing else is done in the locker room?
That, and he's just going to keep praying and see if anything changes.
Okay. The two of you leave the animal storage room. And
make sure to lock it.
I was wondering if anyone was going to catch that. I was already plotting what the fallout of you guys not locking up was going to be if nobody said anything.
As soon as she says that, he's going to take out that dagger and he's going to start working on that lock to get it.
Roll a d20.
D20. Oh, not me. Oh.
Yeah, Greylog. He's the one picking the lock, or unpicking it rather.
Good, because I rolled a 16. That would not turn out well.
And I had a 2.
Yeah, I figured. I was like, it's going to be a 2.
Right now, I'm rolling on top of
Did you find your shitty dice?
No, I'm using my metal dice right now, but I'm rolling on top of a towel to keep the noise level down.
Mm-hmm. All right, Greylog, jabbing the tip of your dagger into the lock, you kind of finagle with it for a couple minutes, and giving it a pull, you feel like you've been able to lock it. It was a strange experience picking a lock to lock it, but you're confident you've done your job and that neither you nor the 7 Samurais tampering with this room will be noticed. And with your magic items in tow, the two of you part ways once you reach the arena. Asari, you approach the arena where on the other side of the roll-up door of Aben and the Swarm Storm are currently training. And as you and Greylog are about to split up once you reach the arena door so you can check the roster and Greylog can return to the locker room, you actually catch the champion currently kind of working his way away from the group of various fans that are like just hounding for autographs and just whatever weird things they want from him. And as he's like kind of working his way out, you see Tamatwa looks to the two of you and more of my adoring public. It's good to see you two. What can I sign for you? Spell book, notepad, scrap a scroll.
You know what? He'll bear his shoulder. How about can you get my shoulder?
Oh, I can do, brother. And I see I've got your lady friend there speechless. And he kind of gives you a wink, Asari, and breaks out a small quill that he kind of dips in some ink. And you want me to make this out in Elvish, brother, or common?
Elvish.
Can do, brother. To my greatest fan. What's your name there, brother?
Greylon, but don't forget to put your name in there too.
Yeah, sure thing, brother. To my greatest fan, Greylog, with love, Timatwa. There you go, brother. Just give that a couple hours to set and dry there, and that'll last you the rest of your life. Well, not quite as long as these scars, but... And he kind of claps you on the back, and... See you around, brother. And with that, starts to work his way down the hall. The crowd immediately just starting to flock behind him.
As he's out of earshot, I kind of want to whisper to Gerlog, is it me, or is this name being close to Tomato?
I didn't catch it. I'm sorry.
Is it really close to Tomato?
Oh. Tomato, tomato.
Tomato, tomato.
But he's very full of himself.
I'm just gonna start calling him Tomato, I think.
Well, it might keep throwing off guard.
You know, little humor there, little humor here.
At this point, the two of you are able to comfortably part, as at this point, Asari, the crowd is cleared away to follow Tamatwa, so you're able to easily get close. What's that?
Tomato now. It's Tomato now.
Oh, noted. Austin, your mic's doing the crackly again. And Asari, you make your way toward the rolly door, and you see the same thing that Vaben saw, that the Divine Five are scheduled to go up against the Star Strikers tonight, and the Seven Samurai are scheduled to go up against the Kappa crew.
Does that mean anything to me?
You do recall seeing a small group of Kappas in the minor league locker room.
Would that give me a, like, would that make me, I don't think that would freak him out. What the fuck? I'm gonna go check on Vaben, and then I'm gonna try something else.
Okay. Vaben, you've been training out in the arena with your various arrows for a few hours now. The Swarm Storm is starting to get tired and has actually taken his mask off and just kind of is like catching a breather against the siege tower as you are collecting all the scattered arrows, the ones that are salvageable at any rate. And as you're inserting them into your quiver and kind of debating whether you want to keep training or not, you see Asari's little dwarven form scuttling across the arena towards the two of you. And Vaben, you see Asari approach. What would you like to do?
Sure, sir.
You're muted if you're talking. Oop. May have caught him at a bad time. Well, sorry, what would you like to say to him? And if possible, we can just pass it on when he gets back.
Sorry. I was waiting for something to get to a pause point.
Do you need us to take a quick break, or were you just... Okay.
I was just doing... I mean, none of that stuff was stuff Vaben would know about, so I was distracting myself so I wouldn't know what would happen.
Well, yeah, so Asari's coming out to say hi to you. You've been out in the arena for a couple hours with the Swarm Storm, and just while you're collecting all of the arrows you can salvage and the Swarm Storm's taking a breather, Asari's coming out to check on you. So at this point, it's like late afternoon, getting close to nightfall.
All right. Vaben is going to immediately fill them in on the information he
Okay.
Which was who they're fighting and who... Because I think he saw who we're fighting before, right?
Yeah, Paul was the one who had actually met them, but you do recall the group being in the minor league locker room with you.
Yeah, so he'll fill them in on
Alright.
that, because that was the main information for the group he needed.
All right, so Asari, as soon as you approach, you see Avaben re-quivering a few arrows that are salvageable, and they just kind of fill you in on what they had learned, that the Divine Five are scheduled to go up against the Star Strikers, who Avaben recalls being in the minor league locker room with all of you guys, and being sponsored by Bloody Blake.
Okay. I'm going to tell him, so Greylog got us a bunch of stuff from the armory. I suggest you go to him. He's got silver bowstring, so I think you would like that. Very cool.
Bowstring.
He's got some arrows, but yeah, he's got some arrows, but the only ones I found of use were the stinky ones. You'll know them when you smell them.
That doesn't sound very useful. I find the best arrows are the ones that just kill them, not make them slightly uncomfortable.
Well, all of the damage that you can get is, I mean, if they're poisonous, you might as well try to put a little bit more oomph into your attacks. It's just a suggestion. You don't have to. I'm just telling you what he has. I am going to go to the bar and I'm going to talk to the 7 samurai, because when I saw them last, they were a little sketchy, and I'm very curious what has them spooked.
Fair enough. Sounds reasonable.
So I'm just passing that along. How did you do in here?
Well, the explosive arrows still work, so if I need more oomph, I can just use them.
Fair enough. Any other intel on our competition?
The champion's an asshole, and I was kind of hoping we get to knock him down to size first. I wonder if I can convince the captain to let us fight him so we can get rid of him already. He's kind of annoying.
I have a feeling we're going to, but when we do, I'm calling him Tomato. So, just so you know, his name is not whatever the fuck it is. It's Tomato.
Yeah. They came in here trying to tell me and that kid over there we can't use the training grounds, and I don't remember reading that in the contract at all. I basically just bet that he didn't want to get disqualified by getting into a fight outside of the fights.
He definitely strikes me as the kind of man who, let's just say he's compensating.
Yeah, I'm not.
Anyway, I'm gonna go to the bar. I have some. Yeah.
That delay kills me.
Yeah, go ahead, Avaben.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's just saying that delay kills me. But Avaben was saying, honestly, if he tries anything, or well, he's obviously got some skill if he's managed to win this before. But I honestly don't expect. I don't expect him to be like a god, you know?
Like I said, I'm calling him Tomato, so you're welcome to call him Tomato as well.
Let's be warned, I have pissed him off after confronting him today, but...
I mean, we can't piss him off anymore by calling him Tomato.
I'm wondering if he's gonna try anything. Part of me kind of wants him to, because I know we'll be able to...
He might try to sabotage, you know.
Yeah,
there is...
what the captain told us. We have... Actually, I should probably double check with that, but it seemed like he implied we can just trounce him if we find him trying to sabotage our stuff.
Yeah, if he's caught, he will be disqualified. So
God,
there is that.
I would request the captain to gather all those people to watch as we throw the champion off the ship.
That would be fucking hilarious. You're actually funny. I did not know that. Okay, I'm gonna go.
Alright. You have good luck with that. I think I might go talk to the captain to clarify some things.
Yeah, and don't forget to go talk to Greylog, because he does have that silver thread that would go very well with your bows.
Well, I'll probably see him whenever we get to the locker room anyways.
All right. With that, the two of you part. Asari making your way up to the top deck to head to the bars, and Avaben making your way through the halls towards the captain's quarters. Asari, as you join Avaben and walking out to, and then just parting ways at the door to the arena as you and Greylog had done, you can hear the Swarm Storm call in the distance. It was good training with you, Mr. Five.
Raven just waves and then says, "Sorry, you really do need to clarify that to that kid at some point."
You know, I think it's just really funny, but just let's just not. No, I will. When we get back in the where we're sleeping tonight, I'll do that.
With that, the two of you part. And Asari, as you make your way up to the top deck of Aben, you wind your way through the halls of Plundon, passing by the major and minor leaguers alike as they scramble about the ship, gathering any supplies or information they can before the fight. You imagine some of them have already checked who they're fighting and want to see what the other team is doing for training. Perhaps they're trying to struggle to figure out their new class abilities. Very few of them are quite as confident as you are. And as you make your way past the minor league rooms, past the major league, past the various armories, the champions room, you finally make it to the ornate door to Imam Umeric's office. I'm assuming you give it a knock, or are you just going to try and barge your way in?
He knows what kind of things pirates get up to.
All right. With against the door, you hear a little bit of scrambling. You hear like a drawer being shut and some locks being clasped before. Come on in.
Well, I guess Vaven will enter.
Entering in, you find Imamu at his desk. The kind of awkward, like childlike form. Actually, not not standing out unfavorably. And he's still donned in his showman's outfit. And from the looks of it, he had actually just been changing into it. As you notice, the boots are a little untied and loose around his legs. But as he bends down over the desk to continue seemingly retightening them, he gives you a smile and, Mr. Vaben, what can I do for you?
I wanted to clarify just a couple of things.
Well, I'm happy to help. What do you need?
Well, I guess it's getting straight to the point. If I catch somebody trying to sabotage my stuff, do I have free reign to beat the shit out of them?
You have free reign to do so, understanding, of course, that they have perfect liberty to defend themselves. But unless I or another crewmate witnesses the thing that instigated, we will, unless you can prove that they are the ones who instigated it, will have no choice but to consider both of you at fault. And while you will not be disqualified over starting a fight, you certainly will be reprimanded and disciplined by the bosun.
Well, at least I don't get thrown off the ship.
No, only through breaching terms of your contract, and such terms, given the harsh punishment, do have to be quite thoroughly proven. We pirates aren't the savages that everyone thinks us to be.
What if I was to set a trap for someone trying to sabotage my stuff?
As long as the trap can safely prove that there was intent to sabotage, that would be considered acceptable.
And, this one might be a little bit unofficial. Would it be possible for us to persuade you to give us a certain fight at a point? Say we specifically want to fight one of the others in the tournament. I know you couldn't admit to anything like that, but...
Oh, of course, but... And at this point, he gets up, having tightened his boots, and kind of toddles his way past you with his kind of swaying, dance-like move motions, and shuts and locks the door behind you. I didn't make it as far as I did fixing my fights, but for you, I'm willing to negotiate. Who is it?
If you would be able to do that at some point, not necessarily right this moment.
It's certainly within my powers. Who is it you're interested in fighting exactly?
Part of me kind of wanted to see if the champion could be removed early. But I figure I want to at least see him in one fight first, before I make any decisions on when we should face him.
Perfectly understandable. If at any point the team you're going up against is unable to battle or forfeits, you will have the night to watch the other fights to your heart's content. However, I will say, even if I'm able to organize putting you up against the champion, and even if you win, that doesn't necessarily guarantee he'll be booted from the competition. It is not the person who loses the fight who is kicked from the Doomspell Tournament. It is who fails to please the crowd. And if there's one thing Tamatwa knows, it's wielding a spear and winning over a crowd.
We'll see it. Well, if my plan for him is anything, he will be too busy stumbling to please anybody.
Oh, I knew I liked you. Oh, while I have you here, may I ask you a very quick series of questions? Nothing too invasive, just I'm working on drafting up the introductions for the Divine Five and tonight's fight, and I wanted to make sure that everything I had noted is embellished in a way that you consider palatable.
Very well.
Firstly, if I know this is not the sort of question one typically asks another, but are you from the Underdark? Like, truly?
I was born there, but I only lived there for about 5 years before I was left in the forest and eventually found by the wood elves.
I see. Yes, it's... I think I remember you mentioning this offhandedly. Or perhaps it was something Nitro had overheard and passed along to me. Either way, it's coming back to me.
Elf, I'm sure you know that Dark Elves like us don't get the greatest treatment.
He kind of gives you a sympathetic look and nods. Indeed. My sympathies. But rest assured, I have nothing but good things to say about you. I just wanted to make sure that my introduction for you wasn't insensitive. After all, it would not look great for my reputation if I made a big deal advertising an honest-to-God's Underdark fighter, only for it to be discovered that you were actually born in, I don't know, Britannia.
I think I'd actually shoot myself.
And, Dr. Koo, Miss Asari, is she really a doctor?
Of a sort. She's a doctor in that thing where you look at old shit.
Archaeologist. Alright, perfect. Let's see. I already have...
See how you're gonna make that sound exciting.
Oh, I think you and her both will like what I have planned. Your friend Paul, he mentioned to me that he had healing abilities. Do you know if they are magical in nature or mundane and medical?
Oh no, would he know that?
Yeah, he's healed you magically multiple times.
I believe it is magical nature.
All right, perfect. And your Mr. Orchin, I was able to identify, albeit at a more careful scan, that he appears to be a changeling. Is that correct?
Has Raven seen him change forms?
Oh, multiple times. You were in prison whenever he was forced into his real form.
He certainly has the ability to change forms.
In truth, I wasn't sure at first if he was a doppelganger or a changeling. Most changelings aren't gifted with the ability to change their faces that well. Glamours don't come naturally to us all, after all. My life would have been a lot easier if I'd been born with an ability like that, let me tell you.
You're speaking to the choir about that.
I suppose I am. He kind of raises a hand in like an invisible toast to you. And this is purely me speculating. He was rather vague on what he was capable of on the battlefield, but from what little he told me and what I've been able to dig up in my own time, does he have any sort of mystical persuasion over nature and animals?
Not 100% certain, but I guess he's done some stuff like that, maybe.
All right.
To be honest, I don't pay that much attention to it. In a lot of the fights we've gotten into, he's usually started a fight that we can't really do. Like the time that he decided to get into a staring contest with Grendel.
Really? And he survived?
I guess there's that.
You are quite the interesting group. I'm so glad you decided to join this tournament.
If you need any, admittedly, I won't go into all the details, just giving you the embellished versions of feats I can.
That's what I'm here for.
Well, we faced a... Well, if you want the embellished version, we faced an undead horde and a feathered serpent.
I'd heard the stories.
And then there's the time that we destroyed the Claw, the infamous prison.
You've gone on quite the adventures, you and your little gang.
Yeah, I'm sure you like something to hype us up.
Oh, quite. I've already got something drafted up. I just wanted to make sure it was admissible. Thank you so much, Mr. Aglotha. Can I call you Ave?
If you wish.
Excellent. It will be nightfall soon, and I know that's not much of a difficulty for you, at least in your normal form. If you like, I can walk you back to the locker room to ensure you don't get into any trouble. Unless Annie kind of gives you a smirk and a wink. You're planning to get into some trouble on the way?
No. I'm pretty confident in our ability to win so far. Nothing's given me any reason not to think we can't win this straight up.
That's what I like to hear, Vay. And he kind of hops off his chair and kind of pats you on the side as he passes you by. That right there, that sort of confidence, that's going to take you far in this line of work. And with that,
like explosions.
He smirks as he starts undoing the bolts and locks on his door to let the both of you out and kind of smiling at you. I believe I'd mentioned before, we certainly aren't opposed to them.
Because I could certainly bring a few of those.
Indeed, I'd heard that you were getting a little bit of practice in over the last few hours.
Yeah, that's what I meant by if I have my way, he'll be too busy stumbling. If everything goes to plan, I might be able to entertain them with some comedy.
I sincerely hope you get the chance. And he kind of waves over his shoulder for you to follow him as the two of you start heading away from his office and back toward the minor league locker rooms. I don't suppose I could convince you and your little gang to join my crew. You'd be paid and compensated, of course, Pirate's Code. Just, I haven't gotten to see you in a direct fight yet, but if what you've proven capable of in the past bears any indication, I think you may have just what the Brethren of the Coast needs in these times.
I don't know. My goals are pretty simple. I just need... But I don't know how the others feel about it. Maybe. I don't want to be one to burn the path behind me, but I also not 100% certain about it.
Well, whether you win or lose, if you manage to impress me in the fights, and this line of work doesn't work out for you, there will be a place for you under the black flag, I can promise you that.
For as long as it lasts, apparently.
I think it is a lot more durable than many give it credit for. I could simply take Plundon, arm it to the teeth, and run for the hills, as many of the Brethren are doing, but, well, it's like I just told you. Confidence is often the first step to victory. At least that's what I've always found.
Well, hopefully that'll translate. Hopefully the others are confident, too.
I hope to
definitely feel a little... I'm not 100% certain how I feel about this theme. I feel like you could have gotten a lot of mileage out of just finding the best fighters all around.
I could have, but what would distinguish me from all the other captains who came before me? It's like I told you and Dr. Koo earlier. I want what I do here at this septennial Doomspell Tournament to be spoken of through the ages. I never want it to be forgotten.
Well, hopefully it doesn't remember it as the most comedic Dooms... What is it called again?
The Doomspell Tournament.
Hopefully it won't be remembered as the comedic one where everybody was stumbling around like idiots.
I have every confidence that these fighters will prove themselves to be competent and capable of adapting, and those who aren't, well, what's a fight without its losers?
I guess you're hoping this first round will weed out any of those.
At the very least, it'll be a good opportunity to help the gamblers in the audience figure out who's worth betting on. Right now, things are...
the power to eliminate both teams if they both just do terribly.
Well, I technically am able to do so. I feel it would go against the spirit of the tournament. Traditionally, we only have one team exit every day until only one remains. But, and he kind of gives a bit of a shrug. If we have nothing but disappointments, I'm willing to do what I must to preserve the integrity of my entertainment.
Well, that would certainly help weed out ones. If you end up having two who both just don't seem to know what they're doing, you can just get rid of both of them. It thins out the herd even quicker.
Quite possibly.
The cream of the crop quicker, as they say.
Indeed. But I like to think I've found quite the creamy crop already. Between you and all these other fighters, we have some real good ones this go around, I think. I think I have everything I need to make this tournament the best it's ever been. He gives you a smile, and if I'm being quite honest with you, what were your parents like? Your real parents?
Define real.
The ones who made a real impact on your life. The ones you care about.
Well, they did a lot of hunting. Or learned to use a bow.
He gives you a smile, and my mother before me was an astronomer. Studied the stars and what lies beyond our world. She knew so much that most others couldn't hope to even grasp. And my father was a well-known entertainer across his home country. One of the best in the business. People were honored simply to meet him. And here I am.
Pirate. Who would have guessed?
He smiles and kind of scratches at his neck. My mother wanted me to get into science, but I wasn't really cut out for it. And my father wanted me to get into dancing, and I took to it, but in the end, I wanted to be something different. And that's what brought me here.
You built a gigantic ship.
Well, I can't take credit for its construction. I can only take credit for the fact that it hasn't waded into the shallows and shipwrecked. Nitro's the one who does most of the work on the actual maintenance, and the quartermaster and bosun discipline the crew. My only job is, well, preparing for today.
Are you one of the, what do they call it? The coast.
Brethren of the Coast?
Yeah, I'd imagine someone who's in charge of the ship so important must be important.
I'm not a member of the actual Brethren, but traditionally the captain of Plundon has always served as a very... And he kind of pauses, thinking over his word choice. Someone of great value to the Brethren. Much as Brother Taurus acts as the Pirate King, the captain of Plundon was always said to be the queen alongside them.
I guess it's one of those things of, you may not hold an official title, but you might as well.
Indeed. I'm sure you've already pieced together that this meeting of the Brethren is rather significant for us. It's been, well, 6 septennial. I'm guessing you can do the math yourself. It's been a while since we've needed to come together for anything like this. And
why do y'all wait 100 years to do this? Why don't y'all do it like every couple of years?
He kind of raises an eyebrow, but he's not giving you like a smirk or like a smarmy smile. It's more of that kind of like, oh, you poor thing kind of smile. And he kind of puts a hand on your side and like, well, and I thought that too, but once you actually pilot one of these things, you ever tried to take a boat across the entire planet?
No.
But I'm guessing you can figure out for yourself that it takes some time.
I guess something so big, probably, about if one could cast walk on water, they may actually walk faster than this thing.
It's not just about speed. If we wanted to assemble the Brethren here more often, everyone would have to always know where it is, which would compromise its security, and then the Brethren would have to actually get here at a reasonable time, and at an agreed upon one at that. Getting pirates to agree on anything is a task in and of itself, not to mention the threat it would pose to me and my ship and crew if everyone were to know where we were at any given moment.
I guess that's fair. Maybe y'all should have like a minor version of it, like just something to hold everyone over.
Oh, we have ports all over the world, actually, as long as one knows where to look.
A minor version of this tournament, like a light version. One that could be held in a more regular location.
Not a terrible idea. I was going to say, there's a few things I hope to propose to the Brethren. Perhaps they'll see it the way you do, that my position as captain of Plundon, I may not hold a totem or wield a blade, but I'm just as important to these pirates as any member of their crews are and deserve to be heard. Pirates Code. And
ask, how you feel about some of the other Brethren?
Well, you're certainly free to ask. I think they're a well-meaning bunch, but I think they just... Their focus is inward. My mother and father always taught me to look outward. Do you understand?
I think I get it.
My goal with Plundon is not fortune. It's not even necessarily the fame in and of itself. It's legacy. When my parents began to get older, they became obsessed with their legacies, how they would be remembered, how I would remember them, how the world would remember them. And I want to make sure my legacy is one that's remembered. So many legacies are simply forgotten. Even many of the brethren, their reigns were so short and unremarkable that they simply were forgotten, superseded by somebody who caused more explosions and swung a sword better, and it's as if they had held the title the entire time. I think the brethren are well-meaning, and in truth, I don't think there's anyone I would rather have at the seats than those who currently hold them. But
even though one of them is apparently a little girl.
Captain Ray is quite the fearsome little negotiator. Not to mention she's a trained adventurer. In fact, I wager she's actually quite a bit more skilled than you and your team.
Possibly.
Like I said, confidence is admirable. As I said, I do not think it is simply the might of one's blade and the sound of one's blasts that signal their herald into greatness. I think it is their capabilities. That's why I did the tournament this way. I want everyone to prove that they're capable because of who they are, not because of what they happen to have or what skills they happen to be born with. It's equality on Plundon, even more so than the brethren understand. I'm hoping that this meeting might give us a chance to sit and talk, try and come to an understanding so that we're not always squabbling with one another. Especially in times like these, that's a luxury we don't have anymore. If the black flag is going to continue to fly proudly, it needs to be united. But what am I, an old man rambling to one of my fighters? I appreciate you listening.
No problem. Legacy is one of those things that I think my kind of people aren't really suited to understand. It's, you don't really worry about legacy whenever you live for effectively forever.
Indeed. But
it does seem like some of the brethren, like from what I hear, Brother Ares has quite an idea to leave a legacy.
He does, but as I said, the brethren, they're all looking inward. Even Brother Ares has things tying him down, things that are restraining him, holding him back. I know it's cliche of me to say as a person who runs pit fights, but I do think there's something to be said for the idea that on the battlefield, someone becomes more primal, more honest to who they really are. And it's simply not a place for a father who's trying to raise a son.
I don't know exactly the story behind him. I'm sure there's some way that he justifies it.
Well, justified or not, it doesn't change the facts. We're outnumbered by what stands before us, and what numbers we have are too busy fighting amongst themselves to fight the enemy. Even Brother Ares isn't immune to it.
Yeah, I hear he's had some times where he's gotten a little bit, I guess you could say, testy with the others.
You could say that.
Like, as in testing his cannons on their direction.
You could also say that. But I do consider Brother Ares to be very close to me. I may not know the man or his family as well as I'd like, but I do hope that he's one who can be persuaded to see things my way. Unite the brethren properly against what stands before us. With any luck, this tournament will keep the peace and keep this bunch of squabbling miscreants excited at the dangling keys long enough for me to get a whisper in their ears.
Well, hopefully the outnumbering force doesn't come knocking on the door.
Nah.
A lot of important people in one place.
True, but he smiles up to you as at this point you've reached the minor league locker room. I don't know if you've heard, but rumor has it Plundon is currently receiving some of the best fighters in the world, including the legendary Divine Five. If I were Saul, I wouldn't be very eager to knock on Plundon's door right this moment, even if I knew where it was.
Yeah, I'm sure that champion would love the opportunity to show off too. Get some new fighters.
Oh, quite. Well, you know where to find me. Your fight will be taking place tonight. I don't know if you've seen already, but you're going up against the Star Strikers.
Is someone going to come and like collect us and say, "Hey, it's time to fight"?
Indeed, Nitro will be here to collect you. Simply wait in the locker rooms, and we'll get everyone out to the fights at their scheduled times. I'll be there to announce each one individually, but assuming you win, you actually won't see me after the fight's over. I prefer to meet one-on-one with the losing team. Make sure that they understand that they gave it their best and gave it their all, you know? I think it looks better. But Nitro will be escorting you to the ring, and if you are victorious, away from it.
And the point is not necessarily to thoroughly defeat your opponent, it's to just be entertaining.
Indeed. As I mentioned, I may occasionally ask you for something specific, although given that this is your first bout, I will not be so cruel. But, colorful outfits, unique and identifiable weapons, maybe occasionally spit out a catchphrase to the audience, something like that. Something that will make the audience not just want to root for your team, but want to root for you. You want the audience to be thinking, that Vey fellow, I want him to really give it his all. I want him to win this next round. I've put all my money on him. You understand?
Yeah, I'll try to at least provide them with some pyrotechnics.
That'd be delightful. Of course, I'll be watching your fight in particular very closely. But understand, while I may be sponsoring you, I can't play favorites. If you're boring, then I'm afraid I'll have no choice but to give you the boot.
You know, hopefully the fight doesn't end too much so they can get plenty of fireworks.
I wish you luck, Vey. And if you ever need anything else from me, my office is always open to you and your friends. Tell the others I said hello.
Very well.
And with that, he gives you a bow, and once he's made sure you have safely entered the locker room, he starts returning to his office.
Well, I guess
Paul.
we'll see who else is in the room.
Okay, so we'll come back to you. Paul, how much over the course of the day are you willing to donate? Are you just going to keep donating until you feel something, TM, or is there like a certain threshold where you call it? Just, you know, how far are you willing to go? How deep are you willing to empty your pockets? Also, you are muted if you're... Okay. Okay. Sorry. At this point, the sun is going down, but with the last few precious bits of daylight you get before making your way up to the bar, by this point, most of the bar patrons have cleared out. The only ones you see still inside are the Star Strikers, who are just swapping drinks with the money Paul gave them. a few just kind of pirates who are free to roam about a bit more so they can handle being out a bit later and seem like they're squeezing in a few drinks before the fights start. You see the 7 samurai sitting at a long table in the center of the bar, and Paul across the bar, just kind of walking and milling about. Doesn't seem to be centered on any one area or group. Asari, as you enter, what would you like to do?
So first thing first, I'm gonna go over to Paul and make sure that he is aware of the item situation.
Okay. Paul, Asari passes on to you a description of all the things Greylog was able to find and which ones are intended to be given to you. You are told that you will be potentially receiving the ebony black plate mail of one of the ancient dragon knights, which is strange.
Yeah, she does. I thought it would be able to be like a distraction, so Greylog doesn't die. You also might want to start heading down to the lockers. The sun is setting and it's getting dark, and you know the rules. I just have some business, and then I will be down myself. I'm gonna head over to my friend Justin.
Okay. Paul, anything from you before Asari walks off? Okay. All right. Paul, you return to your wanderings as Asari in your little dwarven body. You approach the 7 samurai who are currently exchanging drinks and seem to be in a relatively good mood. Justin, as soon as you approach, gives a wide smile and a oh, hey there, Missy. Fellas, this here is Dr. Koo. Remember, with one of the them Divine Five. And the other samurai all tilt their hats to you. You can see all of them are wearing some manner of Stenson or bowler hat.
Oh my god. They're all fucking cowboys. I love it. I'll just kind of give a little bow of my head. I actually just wanted to speak with you just for a little bit.
Oh, is
it seems like now that earlier you just seemed so off. Is everything all right?
His face kind of freezes for a second, and you can see Al kind of glance to him, and the other samurai look a little off-put as well. And eventually Al lights a cigarette and passes it to Justin, who immediately just kind of takes it, and after taking a small puff on it and kind of giving a deep sigh as they settle, they kind of yes, sorry for frightening you, miss. There's nothing to be concerned about. I get shakes and I see things occasionally. Time in the war took its toll on all of us. I apologize if I frightened you, Dr. Koo.
Like visions.
You may have to put it in text, sorry. But I got like the gist of it. I just want to make sure I understood it properly.
Hello. I just asked if they were like visions.
He just kind of gives a nod and yeah. And at this point, Al kind of gives a nod and pipes up, taking a you can see the two of them are literally swapping the cigarette back and forth and just taking turns puffing on it. And as Al passes it back to Justin, he gives a nod. I help keep him from losing himself to the visions in his mind.
Well, if you ever care to talk about it, I'm always willing to lend an ear.
Of course. Thank you, Dr. Koo. That means a lot to me.
Well, we better get downstairs because the sun is setting quite quickly and we don't want to get caught after dark.
Oh, is it that time already? All right, come on, boys. We should probably get going then, eh? And all of the other samurai nod and start grabbing their weapons, and you can see all of them now have bows slung over their shoulder when ordinarily they were carrying rifles and pistols. And as Justin, you can see, is carting a very fine-looking longbow. He gives you a smile and... out of curiosity, I've been hearing tell, rumor mill and all that, that you're an archaeologist. You study old tales and whatnot.
Oh, well, I mean, I study more than just old tales, but that's the gist of it.
I was wondering, after this fight and after we have time to settle into routine, assuming neither of us get booted off this vessel anytime soon, would you mind helping my team with a small little side project we're working on?
Oh?
He kind of looks around and then leans into you and... Have you ever heard of the 7 Wonders of Plundon?
I don't know. Have I?
Roll a d20.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know. Have I? Hang on, that was cocked. Ooh. 10.
Paul, are you going to return to the locker room, or are you going to just chill out up here? Okay. And sorry, you actually have heard some of the stories. Although most of them came up not during your archaeology days, but while you and Anna were researching Plundon to, check if it was the right place to get the next key. And while you and Anna were researching Plundon, indeed, that turn of phrase he just used, the 7 Wonders of Plundon, did actually come up. Supposedly, over the last about 50 years or so, there's been this sort of mythology built up around Plundon. As you know, pirates to be very superstitious and prone to tall tales. And because of that, there's quite a history associated with Plundon, and that has taken the form of these 7 wonders. Wonder 1. Supposedly, whenever a fighter dies in Plundon, either just a pirate dying a natural death or a death that even the clerics can't revive you from, they say that the bodies of fallen fighters or sailors are entombed in Plundon's walls.
Okay.
Supposedly, there is a mimic that lives in the Major League locker room. That is the 2nd wonder.
Okay.
The 3rd wonder Supposedly, there is a room somewhere in Plundon that has a second floor, but no stairs to get up to it. And nobody knows what's on that second floor.
Okay. Room, second floor, but no stairs. Got it.
Wonder 4. Supposedly, the champion's room is haunted. Previous champions of Plundon have said that they can hear voices whispering from nowhere. The voices of athletes who were killed by previous champions.
Alright. Champion room haunted.
Wonder 5. Supposedly, if you go by the arena when they're during the day when they're not being used, typically whenever a fight is not scheduled that day, as Vaben had mentioned to him by Captain Merrick, if a fighter forfeits or cannot physically fight, then the arena is simply closed down for the night. Supposedly, during those times when an arena is not in use, people claim to be able to see mysterious lights from under the doors.
Mysterious lights in arena.
Wonder 6. Throughout Plundon's history, there's always been a history, and this has actually been mentioned on screen already, that fighters will just occasionally go missing. That's just an accepted fact of Plundon, that for some reason, whether it's sabotage or some dark secret, people who fight in Plundon's tournaments will sometimes just disappear and never be found again. No bodies, no blood. Supposedly, the first victim of this was the previous captain, an Atlantean who commanded Plundon before Imamu took his place.
Okay.
And finally, the 7th wonder of Plundon. It's actually sort of a dual part. The first part of the 7 wonders, or rather the 7th wonder, is Imamu himself. Nobody knows how old Imamu actually is, although it's a well-known fact that he's at least in his late 60s. Which, for a Kappa, is pretty good. He's very old by his species standards, and yet he's clearly in his physical prime. Everyone wants to know what his secret is. Like, what is it about him that makes him, A, such a goddamn good fighter? Because supposedly, before he was captain of Plundon, he was one of the best fighters in the tournaments. But yeah, the fact that A, he's fought in multiple tournaments, which makes him easily over 100 years old, or at the very least, for sure, in his late 60s, 70s, he's still clearly in his physical prime. The second part of that rumor is Nitro, the first mate and head engineer who walks you guys around. Rumor has it that he'll sometimes just kind of vanish during the day. None of the engineers know where he goes, and none of the crew or fighters see him either. He just disappears during long stretches of the day and then pops up again that night.
Okay.
So yeah, those are the 7 wonders of Plundon.
I'll say to him, yeah, I've heard of them.
I've always been a bit of a spiritual sort, and, 7 of us, and he gestures to his team. I thought it was only fitting if, whether we win this tournament or not, we hope that maybe we can solve those little mysteries. That's what we were doing, checking that animal storage room. Thought maybe it would be that room with the second floor but no stairs, but, stairs there clearly were, so that couldn't have been it.
Oh, wow.
But if you're an archaeologist, would you be interested in helping us do a little bit of myth busting?
It sounds like a lot of fun. As long as we're back before dark, I am game.
Will do. And he holds out his hand to you. I know we won't be going up against each other in the ring tonight, but we will at some point, most likely. So it's nice working with you.
Yeah, I'll take his hand and I'll shake it.
All right. As Paul, the twins, Asari, the samurai, and the strikers start making their way back to the minor league locker room, Avaben, as you enter it, having just been dropped off by Imamu, you see the only people in the room right now are Greylog, who has a kind of thorny-looking staff in one hand and a jingling backpack in the other. And Avaben, since you had specifically requested wanting to know like where different peeps were, you see that currently in the room with Greylog.
It's about his team.
Oh, okay. In that case, yeah, Greylog.
Alright, I guess let's talk to Greylog. Like, so you found some stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, so are we gonna be ending soon? We're gonna be getting.
Yeah, we are. Don't worry.
You know it.
Yeah.
I'll show him all the arrows, the bow, the extra staff, the bowstring.
Why'd you get a bowstring? What's good? I already have one.
Yes, but this one is silver bowstring, which was apparently made by the Fae or fair folk.
So what does that mean? That can mean a lot of things.
It pretty much enhances your ability of like your shooting, and can also cause it to like you can have your arrow catch fire or something like that.
I guess I can give it a try.
Yeah, so that your explosive arrows, if you were to have it catch on fire, that could trigger the explosion when you want it to.
Fair enough.
So you don't actually have to hit something.
Maybe I'll find some use for it.
All right. So out of the offered items that Greylog puts out to you, which ones are you taking?
I guess I'll take the bowstring.
Okay, so you take the bowstring. Anything else?
That's about it.
Okay, so you'll take the special bowstring. And will you fasten it to your bow, or are you just going to hold on to it for now?
I mean, what's the point of just holding on to a loose bowstring?
Well, I didn't want to be like, okay, you start tying it to your bow, and you'd be like, oh, I just wanted to keep it in my pocket. All right. Paul, Flower and Fall, Asari, the three of you return with the Seven Samurai and the Star Strikers in tow to the locker room, and as you enter, you see Greylog meditating on the ground with a jingly bag and a thorny staff, Avaben tightening a silver bowstring to his composite bow, and elsewhere in the room you can see just pretty much the entire minor league at this point, as again night is falling, so everyone's starting to return to the locker room at this point.
And I would have been passing out amulets and stuff to the other minor league people.
Okay. And as you pass various amulets and rings around, a few of them seem certainly a little suspicious, and a few of them even outright refuse you. But you do get a few cautious takers. And as the team reunites in the locker room, does anyone have any final business before the fights begin?
No.
Just going to make sure all get armor.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to attune to my staff.
Okay. All right.
A long rest to attune?
Yes, but regardless, that doesn't matter here.
I'm going to try to attune to my staff as well while still meditating.
All right, and
getting results.
Paul, do you accept the armor? Okay. Flower and Fall, you see Paul is changing into this like ebony black armor. Avaben is tightening a silver bowstring to his bow. Greylog is now carrying this staff of like wood and thorns, and Asari is now carrying a staff of. You took the fire one, correct? Sorry.
No, she
no, I
wild
took-
magic.
Wild magic. Okay. You see that Asari is carrying a light blue and white staff.
The
And
fire one and the 2 bones are still up for grabs.
all right.
Chris here.
And as all of you ready your weapons, attempt to attune to the best of your ability, the minor league locker room is relatively quiet until Nitro appears. And rather than just locking up and barricading the room like he normally does, Nitro just kind of leans in, opens the door, and a lot of the fighters, including the Swarm Storm, just immediately stand to their feet. And Divine 5, Star Strikers, you're up. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
All right.
Cool.
Well, I hate to be so abrupt, but I am off.
No, yeah, do what you gotta do. I hope you had fun.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
I gotta try to get
Bye,
to
Jira.
sleep.
Do what you gotta do. See you next week.
I love you.
You too.
Cute. If you want to see more of my DMing, check out twitch.tv/gramcrackers, GRAMECRACKERZ, for my Friday campaign, The Goldshine Investigations, at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time, featuring a party of investigators trying to unravel the... What's up?
Nothing.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were saying something. The cultish conspiracy that threatens to plunge their home into war. Check out our website at official-d5hub.info. Resurrect from the Grave like a filthy necromancer about to do their first edition Dungeons & Dragons battle. Check out our link in chat to join our official D5 Discord server if you want to hang out with us directly. Make sure you post the link, Austin. And support our episodes. Post on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and the iHeart Podcast Network, wherever you happen to get them from. For our audio listeners, catch us live on Mondays at 9:30 Central Daylight Time on twitch.tv/OddTornadoProductions or the Odd Tornado Productions YouTube channel to catch up on what you missed. Check out Odd Tornado Productions Official on Tumblr to find links to our other works, including our Paladins Twitch channel at twitch.tv/AustinFreak123. If you enjoy what we do, please support us on Patreon. That link's about to be posted as well. On Ko-fi at kofi.com/OddTornadoProductions. And follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/TornadoOdd. TNO are in fact capitalized. And if you want to see more of this party plus or minus a few, tune in tomorrow, Tuesdays at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time for our Tuesday game of Black Ink and Blue Blood, featuring a party of politicians and nobles trying to unravel a political conspiracy if they can stop stabbing each other in the back long enough.
Stabbed each other in the back yet. We just argue a lot.
Yeah, like, we've really gotten better about it.
Thanks everyone at the table so much for playing. Thanks everyone at home so much for watching. And we'll see you all next week.